Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast, brought to you by BuckeyeHell.com. Class of 2024 signing day recruiting capsules continuing here. Big offensive line signing for the Buckeyes, Ian Moore, one of the top prospects in the Midwest, comes out of the state of Indiana, top 100 caliber offensive lineman. This is a guy who I think really flew under the radar. I think there's so much talk about receivers, so much talk about other offensive line targets, some of whom they didn't get, your Jordan Seatons and stuff like that. So much talk about defensive line, secondary. They got a top 100 offensive tackle who they targeted early, priority target, and we don't talk about him enough. But here we are, Ian Moore, Buckeye.
You're committed for 14 months and you get forgotten about. That's the issue right there. And it's a position we can all talk about how much offensive tackle means this and offensive tackle means that. But if you're not necessarily touching the ball, people are like, they don't think about you as much. So it was really easy to forget about Ian Moore. I'll tell you this, if Ian Moore would have committed this morning or 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, there'd be a lot more talk there. But I think even in terms of on the recruiting stage itself, Ian Moore is somebody that came out and everybody knew he was going to be a top offensive tackle, but because he commits early to a program, and it's not just an Ohio State, you dropped this guy because he's committed to Ohio State. How dare you? It's not that. It's just there was no drama. There was no wavering. There were no visits that we were aware of or anything else like that. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But this is a solid pickup.
Yeah, and this was like Justin Fry's first guy. This is my guy. This is one of my top priorities. I've built the entire relationship with him throughout his recruiting process. I've been his primary recruiter. We've seen him at camps. He comes and earns the offer at camp. So this is going to, fairly or not, reflect on Justin Fry quite a bit, how Ian Moore's career plays out. I have high expectations for Ian Moore. I think he's tremendous. Plays left tackle in high school. Will he play left tackle at Ohio State? I think maybe flip over to right side, maybe be more of Josh, I think he's got more upside than Josh Fryer, but I think that type of player, and probably have Deontay Armstrong at left tackle where he's been playing at St. Ed's. But again, can play at the outside. I don't know why people don't think he can play tackle. I don't know where that comes from. Well, I have an idea where it comes from. I think because a couple of recruiting sites at one point, and I don't know if they still do or not, had him listed as an interior offensive lineman. Ohio State has never viewed him as an interior offensive lineman. He's an agile, big, strong, mean kid. So there's no reason he can't play tackle at the next level, but just super aggressive, has really good hand, violent, kind of plays with those violent hands, gets a good punch on guys, good feet, athletic, hardworking, camped several times with the Buckeyes even after he committed, was driving in from Indiana to camp. Good finisher, as most of these guys, that's kind of the one good theme I think with this group that Ohio State's got coming in is likes to finish the play. Class leader to an extent, maybe didn't get a lot of credit for it. He's kind of not a huge kind of a Twitter media person, but was very much involved in helping build the class. And I think having him and the Armstrong twins as just stabilizing forces with all the chaos that was going on at other positions was a really nice benefit for Ohio State in this class.
Yeah, just because he doesn't talk to the media or put a lot of stuff out there on social doesn't mean that he's not involved in terms of the recruiting and things of that nature. So, he's somebody who I saw pretty much, I think, if not at every game, almost every home game this year. He was down there and would always be attached to whoever the big lineman or just, whatever recruit or a couple of recruits that they felt it was important. Ian Moore was always going to be there kind of on his hip. And, and I think that's important. And yeah, I early saw that, some of the recruiting services had him listed as a guard, had an interior offensive line. And while you were talking about that, I went and looked, and I'm not going to name the one, but one of them does still have him listed as an interior offensive line. And I know, I mean, having worked at a network for years and years and years, I know sometimes it's really difficult to get back and get those things fixed. And you don't, oh, well, we got our ranking set up. We don't want to change numbers around, but he is a tackle, plain and simple. He is a tackle. And, you know, if he's successful, which I expect him to be at Ohio State, nobody's really going to remember what his recruiting profile said. They're just going to remember what he looks like when he's at Ohio State. And, you know, Ohio State went out and got itself a lineman that it certainly wanted to get. Now, Ohio State did not necessarily close out the class, maybe with that fifth lineman that it wanted to have. There was some, you know, some movement in the line as there was a separation from another lineman, and they ended up in filling a fourth spot, but they weren't able to get that fifth lineman. But I'm not going to focus as much on that as I'm going to focus on the guys they did get, especially with the Armstrong twins and with Ian Moore, getting guys very early in the process and being able to ride with them. It was one position where there was at least a good amount of sanity in a pretty insane year.
Yeah, I gave him a good base there to kind of build off of. I think Moore is probably the most college-ready guy they're going to sign on the offensive line in this class. I never pencil guys in to play a lot as true freshmen along the offensive line. I'm not necessarily doing that with Moore either, but I could see him being this year's Luke Montgomery in terms of a guy we see out there, whether it's like as that sixth man type of deal, or if there's an injury or an equipment malfunction in the middle of the game and you need to throw someone in the game real quick, whether it's at guard or tackle. I could see Ian Moore kind of ascending to that. And you know, we'll see him maybe in some late game situations when they're up, you know, games pretty well in hand. And I do think we will see him in some capacity this fall, but not as a starter. I never predict that.
Well, I think it's going to be important for Ohio State to develop more depth with the new look Big Ten. And while they're not playing more league games, you're going to have fewer layups, in my opinion. And them apologies to the schools that identify as layups, but you're not going to be playing the same schedule every year. You're not going to have a couple of teams in the East that just weren't necessarily up to your level in most seasons. So I think it's going to be important for Ohio State to have that guy ready, you know, in that Enoch Vamahi role or whatever you want to call it, as somebody who can play four positions if need be in a pinch.
And that's kind of the beauty of this is, you know, I fully believe Moore is a tackle. Certainly Ohio State believes Moore is a tackle. That's how they've recruited him. But the idea of recruiting tackles isn't, yes, offensive tackles are important, but it's not just that. It's that you can move tackles to guard. You cannot necessarily move guards to tackle. And so that's why tackle bodies are so important, is because you can recruit, in theory, 5 offensive tackles and form an offensive line out of that. You can do that. You cannot recruit 5 guards and make an offensive line out of that. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. So it's kind of the same theory on defense. Is like you want to recruit a lot of corners because you can pretty much always move a corner to safety. You can't always move a safety to corner. And so that's added importance here with someone like Ian, who, again, can kind of do the Luke Montgomery thing and be like, okay, where do you need me right now? My future is probably a tackle, but you know, do you need me to be the backup right guard this year? Do you need me to be the 6th offensive lineman when we go heavy? Whatever it might be. So I think Ian Moore, for that reason, I think a similar ability too. I think they're, you know, for me, Luke Montgomery was a top 50, 60 player in the country. That's about what I think Ian Moore is. So I think that's probably where I get the comparison. But I think this was an important pickup for Ohio State and probably one that didn't quite get his due during the process. But I think people will be very happy with this one before it's all said and done. So that'll wrap up this one. Keep it here. Buckeye Huddle, youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle, as the recruiting capsules roll in, as the letters of intent electronically roll in. We will keep everyone updated on who is signed, sealed, and delivered. But appreciate everyone watching this episode and keep checking us out for more throughout the day.